Well, welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're going to the Assassin's Creed movie. I'm all ready to go. The theater's largely empty, but don't let that be too much of a worry because we got here early. I haven't heard good things about this, but let's check it out. Now we're back from the movie, and what did I think? I didn't mind it. I was actually quite pleased with the fan service that exists in this movie. Now, and obviously I'm a fan, a lot of people in the critics and movie reviews have said it's a really crappy movie, what a piece of junk, don't watch it. I get where they're coming from. I think if you're not a big fan of the series, a lot of it, certainly the ending really falls apart, and I'll get to that. And I'm not going to do too many spoilers in this, but I just wanted to touch upon what did I really like about the movie. Michael Fassbender himself, especially in his portrayal of Aguilar, the assassin from the period of kind of the Spanish Inquisition. Aguilar is an amazingly great representation of an assassin on film, and it may not seem it if you're watching it as an audience member who doesn't really follow the games. You might be like, well, he's just some kind of generic Spanish bad guy in a medieval outfit. Like, what's the big deal? I've already done a video about this, and I'll put a link down below. I don't understand why the Assassin's Creed series, the characters in the games, they look like, you know, hard-ass, tough guy, bounty hunter, Boba Fett type people in the artwork, in the cutscenes, all that kind of stuff. But then when you actually play the game, they're all like a bunch of goody two-shoes. With the exception of Altair. I've always liked that about Altair, and I'll get to that some future time. Aguilar is actually along the lines of those other kind of assassins. He plays it very grim and hiding in the dark and mysterious, and he is the assassin I always see on the covers. I mean, my biggest beef was always Assassin's Creed 3, which I really like. This is an Assassin's Creed 3 hoodie, so I like the game, but I always found Connor like a very wish-washy. Why are you not meaner in spirit? Like, you've come from obviously a pairing of an Englishman and a Native American woman who may not necessarily, having played the game. You know what? I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, watch my video down below about why are all the assassins, with the exception of Altair, these kind of nice guys. Aguilar, in the film, is not. He's the tough guy, assassin-y, not really mean-spirited, but the type of character that I always thought of when I saw the artwork and the covers and the little cinematic films of the games. This is the assassin I had always thought of. So, major points to Michael Fassbender for his portrayal of Aguilar. Fantastic. Totally on point. Love it. And what I liked about the beginning of the film when we first meet Aguilar is he actually goes through the initiation of getting an assassin's hidden blade. Now, what does that mean? Well, not only does he get this cool device installed, but also he has to lose his ring finger, and they actually maintained that. That was something that only affected Altair. When the second game came out, Assassin's Creed 2, there was a scene where Ezio was like, you gotta cut off my finger? And it was Leonardo da Vinci said, well, yeah, that is a sign, as is true. The Brotherhood at that time needed you to prove your worthiness. You are married to the Brotherhood, the assassins. So you chop off your finger to make room for the blade. Luckily for Ezio, Leonardo da Vinci found a way around that. He had made some gizmo that didn't require that, and no other assassin has needed that ever since. But, as you can see from the film, they kept it for Aguilar. He actually got his finger removed, which I found really cool. Now, I guess I'm not a full-on assassin because I haven't removed my finger, but yeah, I'm a fan of the games, and I appreciate this kind of fan service. I'm not going to lose my finger over it. As an indication of just how deep that fan service goes, Michael Fassbender, who's one of the producers on the film, had said in an interview he really wanted to make sure they got everything right. They wanted to get the parkour right, they wanted to get like the eagle dive right, and they even wanted to get the stabbing motions. This is his associate killing some of the guards. They wanted to make sure that the poses, the way that they killed people in the movie, looked exactly like the moves in the game, and they do. That was an amazing achievement. The stuff that takes place in medieval Spain is really well done. It actually captures the Assassin's Creed theme and kind of style really, really well. I think they did a great job. Some people have criticized the action sequences as being kind of cookie cutter stuff we've seen in other movies, and I guess I can see some of that, but it really worked for me. Now, I don't think it's really particularly noteworthy stuff. I mean, we have seen a lot of these kind of action sequences in other movies, yes. So I think for me, the stuff that goes on in the first part of the film is really good. I described it to somebody recently as being like, you know how there's like great James Bond movies with lots of great action, and then there's like average James Bond movies with average action sequences? That's what this stuff is. It's really good. It's not special, but it's still really good. I think given all of the bad points in the movie, people have just forgotten how good the good stuff is, and they dismissed it all. I think the action sequences are really well done. Okay, well, let's address some of those other negatives. At the beginning of the film, we start off just like the first Assassin's Creed game begins, with, in this case, Cal, as opposed to Desmond Miles, being held by the Abstergo Corporation by Sophia and her father, Alan. Now, what I was liking about this, I think your average moviegoer is going to this thinking, well, we've got some stellar talent. We've got Michael Fassbender, we've got Marion Cotillard, we've got Jeremy Irons, we've got actors who know their stuff. And there's a lot of other great actors who are playing smaller roles. And this opening is very cold and kind of bland and not very well delivered. And I think a lot of people are like, well, the actors are trying to do their best with a video game script, so what do you expect? But I think there was a nice level of attention being played there to the very first game, the one that I happen to like, where Sophia is actually very much like Lucy, the Kristen Bell character in the first game. And Cal is very much Desmond Miles. And Alan, the Jeremy Irons character, is very much Dr. Vidic, who is kind of the older scientist fella who is giving Lucy, or in this case Sophia, his orders. So I was looking at it thinking, yeah, this is very much like the original game. And I like that. I think there's a lot of scenes that, like, Michael Fassbender is very shouty and growly, and maybe the average movie viewer is going, well, this isn't like, we know Michael Fassbender is capable of better performance than this. Why is he just sort of shouting a lot? I liked it. It worked for me. There is a scene as well early on where he sings, "I'm crazy," and he tries to show the insanity of what he's going through in a performance that doesn't really hit the mark. And again, a lot of people are like, that's god-awful. Why are people watching this movie? It worked for me. So take that for what it's worth. Another complaint, and it's kind of to do with that last shot, is in the game, Desmond Miles is lying down on a table with a thing, a virtual reality kind of experience, and that's how he's going into the past of his ancestors. And in the movie, they decided to rig him up to this mechanical arm so that Michael Fassbender's jumping around and climbing and stuff. And I've heard a movie reviewer say, okay, so when he's running in a straight line, how does that work? Or how come we never cut to him? We only see him doing these awesome action sequences on the mechanical arm when it's an epic moment. How come we never see him like doing this when he's riding a horse or whatever? Yeah, I get where that criticism is coming from. And in the hands of a really good director aimed at a very mature audience, a sophisticated audience, the kind of people who play the first Assassin's Creed games especially, it would be something that could be pulled off. It's like, yeah, of course, he's in a virtual reality experience. He's just lying on a table. But I think the decision to go with the mechanical arm, give it a bit of flair and a bit of pizzazz for maybe the average moviegoer. And honestly, this idea that, you know, how come we never see him when he's just running or riding a horse? I think that was like, yeah, you're nitpicking something that didn't really come across in the film. I don't think the times that we saw him scaling a building or jumping or doing the fisty, stabby stuff, I think because we cut to that in this, it was enough communication to the audience, and I don't think it was really necessary to point out, well, that's just silly. It worked for me. I think it was okay. I also really liked Maria, the female assassin that travels around with Aguilar. She didn't seem like just a thrown-in character for good measure to give the audience a woman assassin point of view to have, or somebody for Aguilar to rescue later on. She can hold her own. She actually also echoes a lot of the sentiment that the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and / Sisterhood has. Like she's got some great lines, and again, I won't spoil too much, but she talks about how it's important that the creed lives on, that our lives don't matter for anything. Plus, she's done some great stunt work in the film. She's a really good character. I'm very pleased that in addition to Marion Cotillard's character, and there's a lady who kind of runs the Templars as well, we've also got Maria. We've got some very strong female characters in this movie, and I'm really pleased about that. So kudos for the filmmakers for including her. So it's all sunshine and roses and gold trinkets? No, there are some problems with this movie for sure. And I think maybe that's why the split in reviews is so high. You've got reviewers on like Rotten Tomatoes, for example, giving it, what, 22% or something? And yet viewers giving it much higher ratings, like 66%, I think. I think those are the last numbers I saw. There are some problems with it. At its best, the Spanish Inquisition stuff with Aguilar is well done, but it's a little run-of-the-mill pedestrian, like I say, like a pretty good but not great James Bond movie as far as the action is done. The parkour is really well done, and the recreation of kind of a medieval Madrid, was it Madrid? Yeah. Really well done, but it is stuff we've seen before. So, yeah, where the show for me was actually starting to fall apart was sort of toward the ending, and I won't touch on too many spoilers here, but in a nutshell, this scene here is very important. Sophia is talking with Aguilar, and she's also got Musa, who is the African-American assassin guy who's also being held in the Abstergo facility. There's a whole bunch of scenes there, and I really like how Cal, Michael Fassbender, isn't convinced at this point in the story. He's like, look, I'm not an assassin. I hated my dad. I don't know why I'm being held in this facility. You're putting me through this nightmare situation of shoving me back into medieval Spain. And by this point, he's like, you know what? I don't care. I've got these people like Musa telling me, oh yeah, the Brotherhood's very important. You got to keep it. You got to help us out and don't help out the Templars. And Cal is like, no, you know what? I'll give them whatever they want. Just get me out of this stuff. So he goes with Sophia here for that part of the scene. Now, I had forgotten this had even happened. It was actually my wife pointed it out to me last night. Musa, in this bit, palms a couple of little smoke bomb grenade things that were in this laboratory. I had forgotten that it happened. And the reason that's important, and this is going to be a very minor spoiler toward the end of the film, but it's kind of where the movie started to fall apart for me, so I got to mention it. Musa, at a certain part of the end of the film, we've got all of the bad guys kind of following Cal, and okay, now we think we've found what it is that we've put him into the Animus to locate. And then all of these other prisoners, all of these other assassins like Musa, then decide to break free. And so Musa, now he's kind of out of focus in this shot, out of nowhere produces these two grenades, sets them down, and the whole place starts to fall apart. And then all of the assassins then kind of throw off their shackles and they take on the guards. And it's seemed very rushed. And I was thinking to myself, where did he get those grenades from? This is the beginning of like, what the heck is going on? You've suddenly, I almost got the feeling like, okay, you ran out of time, didn't you? You've got this great setup, and you've spent an hour and a half getting the audience to this part of the film, and we are starting to see Cal changing, no longer hating the assassins and actually wanting to help out, maybe, or maybe he's playing the Templars. And now you've suddenly decided, okay, Musa throws a couple grenades out and all of the assassins break free, and these Templars, who have been keeping them locked under key for so long in this giant facility, are suddenly being overwhelmed and taken over really, really quick. And somebody smashes the window and they climb out. Huh? Okay, I didn't like that. And what I really didn't like was the finale of the movie. And this is, again, very minorly spoilery, so if you don't want the ending of the movie spoiled for you, don't watch this next bit. So the ending of the film takes place in a Templar stronghold where all of the Templars have gathered. Alan, the father of Sophia, has decided to present to everybody the thing we were looking for. Here it is. By the way, that was a bit disappointing as well. They've spent an hour and a half of the film trying to figure out where this thing is, and then it's kind of very quickly glossed over where it was. And in this particular sequence, Alan just walks over to the shelf and lifts it off and is like, oh yeah, here it is. Let's go and present it to the Templars. What? it seems like, I mean, maybe there were enough elements there, but it's like they very quickly glossed over what is the main crux of the plot. It's not good. And what is also not good is, okay, you've got this big stronghold full of all the Templars, these guys in the black hoods, and Alan is about to give his speech. Sophia is off in some corner. Now, I like the fact that Sophia is starting to reassess, maybe I'm not working for the right team here, and that does actually reference Lucy from Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. She actually, spoiler of the original games, she actually helps Miles Desmond escape from Abstergo in the original games. That kind of gets referenced here, which I liked as a player. But again, from a viewer point of view who doesn't know all that stuff and is just watching this climactic ending, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So yeah, Sophia's left down the hallway. Alan's about to present to all of these Templars, here is the thing we've been looking for. And in the audience, in the Black Hoods, Musa's there, Cal is there, a bunch of other assassins have just wandered in because, yeah, well, we're wearing black cloaks like you guys, and you're all Templars. You would think you guys have got a way to make sure assassins can't just wander into your big event. But clearly they have, and it's like it was glossed over very quickly. I think they needed to spend more time establishing for this big end sequence, okay, somehow the assassins got into this Templar meeting. All right, you might want to tell the audience how exactly. And then, I'm not going to give away the very ending of the story, but suffice to say, it's pretty lame. I mean, the simple version is, then somebody turns off all the lights and everybody runs away. That's the end of the movie? That's the big... What? Yeah, that was inexcusable. I don't like how the movie ended. And I kind of get the feeling, if they wanted to do this film properly, and the first hour and a half is great, the first like 3/4 of the film is done properly, I think to really flesh out the ending the way it was needed, it would either have had to have been a much longer movie, like 3 hours, and that's a dicey proposition for any new type of film, or maybe make it a two-parter. And again, that could have been a dicey proposition for a new film. So I have a feeling what has happened is the filmmakers, they cut corners at the ending, they made it far too brief, and for the average moviegoer, it's like, yeah, this is garbage, don't go to this thing. But if you're an Assassin's Creed fan like me, you would appreciate all the fan service, and Michael Fassbender, my hat is off to you. You really did a good job with this. Yeah, it's really, really good in that way. All right, so in conclusion, Assassin's Creed, the movie, is bad, generally, for most audiences. If you're a big Assassin's Creed fan like me, you're going to like all the fan service, you're going to like all the touches, you're going to love Aguilar. I mean, Michael Fassbender, you really knocked it out of the park. I really think I might have a new favorite assassin. I mean, it's been Altair for a variety of reasons I touched on my earlier video, link down below. I do like the Fry twins. They're kind of neat, but they're... I don't know. I was looking for that assassin that looks cool from the cover of the game boxes. And Aguilar is that assassin. He's really well done. I like Cal. I think Michael Fassbender's sort of arc of what that character did, from what the hell is going on, I'm not going to help you, okay, I don't care about the assassins, the Templars are a bunch of buggers, and you know what? No spoiler about how the ending goes, but a redemption thing happens. I like what happened with Cal. I think there are a few missteps that they could have fixed up, but regardless. I think overall the movie was not bad. I would really like it if they make more. And let's be honest, we live in a world where they make lots and lots of Batman movies and Spider-Man movies, even if they're no good. Can we maybe get something that is my kind of an appeal, something that I would like to live on, because it seems like every little franchise I get into, with the exception of Star Wars, every little franchise I get into just it dies a quick death. Ugh. Anyway, but yes, hats off, or hoods off, no, I'm going to keep my hood on, to Michael Fassbender and his performance in this movie. Michael Fassbender is a hard-ass assassin. And having said that, until next time, I'll see you down the rabbit hole.